Hey Ryan, I would like to welcome you onto the Millionaire by Morning show. I read your biography. I know you have a lot to offer to this crowd and other entrepreneurs out there.
Thanks for having me, Rashad.
Awesome, man. So yeah, let's jump right into it. You're a visionary, founder, and CEO. And what I like to do is know and kind of find out a little bit about what brought you here, what gave you the entrepreneurial spirit, what bug bit you and made you, who you are today, the visionary and founder.
Sure. So I'm not exactly sure when I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, but it was pretty early in life. First business that I founded was a event promotion company focused on electronic music called Original Sin Productions. It was based out of Toronto. I founded that when I was maybe 18 or 19 years old. Got out of that when I was about 27. I trained in university as a nurse. The two lifestyles weren't particularly compatible. Spent most of my career in nursing, either in emergency medicine or international air ambulance. So I spent most of my 20s flying around to various countries in the world, bringing sick people home. I've got about two-thirds of the world done. Been to 142 countries. I think there's 198 or something left. In 2014, I started a medical repatriation company called Going Home Medical. I sold that in 2 years to an American security conglomerate. You might have picked up on the Canadian accent that we packed up my family and moved to South Florida. Post sale, I stayed on and ran that company for 4 or 5 years, something like that. I left in 2020 and founded Odin Industries. We've grown that to be one of the biggest case management firms in the DBA space. And we've been working on growing the company through acquisition. So, most recently, just this past June 5th, we acquired a medical practice called A Doc on Wheels and rebranded it as Shield of Odin. And it focuses on veteran disability claims, assisting with nexus letters and independent medical opinions to help support veterans in their claims post service.
Okay. So it sounds to me like on this show we talk a lot about, mindset and mastery. It
Mhm.
sounds to me like you found your niche early on and kind of continued with it, and it happened to grow, um well, really exponentially. But it wasn't what you started out with, isn't what you're ending up with. However, it's in the same field.
In some ways, same field. The air ambulance gave me a lot of exposure to international markets to build my network. That I'm a firm believer in your net worth is your network, and I was fortunate that I was able to travel the world and make connections with people in various places that have helped this business grow. As far as a specific niche, we have a ultra specific niche for Odin that we work either on foreign voluntary claims or Defense Base Act claims, which are essentially contractors that are working ancillary to the military. So food service workers or carpenters or construction workers or security guards, anyone that's not enlisted. There's very few companies within the space. Um, and we were able to show enough expertise at what we did for the insurance companies to manage these claims that one of our key customers is the largest security company in the world. That Yeah, so we got really good at managing claims in difficult to manage areas, places like Iraq, places like India, the Philippines, anywhere that the U.S. military has contract labor that's either working for a U.S. conglomerate or working ancillary to the military. We manage their claims, which are essentially workers' compensation claims. So we book their appointments, we facilitate them getting medical care. We also facilitate getting the medical records from those locations. And then probably our biggest driver of revenue is medical legal opinion, such as independent medical examinations. Most of the claims we're dealing with are in some stage of litigation. So we will set up appointments to provide medical evidence to help that litigation process come to a fruition.
Okay, so you mentioned acquisition,
Yep.
and that's I guess growth strategy. But what type of companies do you look for within that space?
So Shield of Odin was a little bit divergent than what Odin initially started with, but it was a business that had grown significantly for the 5 years the previous owner had run it, and it was focused exclusively on helping the veteran population. So helping them manage their claims, helping them provide medical evidence to be able to get the disability benefits that they deserve. We saw an opportunity for significant growth within the company that we were looking at, that if we put in more of a corporate structure, if we expanded the medical team, that we could do a lot of good for people within in the veteran space. And you know, there's some shady players within that market that are charging absolutely exorbitant prices to veterans, and not being much help to them at all. We looked at a model that we could reproduce and still make it a decent margin on our business, but provide good, sound medical care and medical evidence to help veterans navigate this. The acquisitions that we look at, we're not competing with private equity. Private equity are looking at, 8 to 15 million is sort of the baseline of where they're entering to look to buy something. We look for smaller niche businesses that somewhat align with what Odin Industries started out to do. There's a incredible economic opportunity for just about anyone right now, with the amount of baby boomers that are wanting to retire. There's more businesses for sale than there are buyers, and they might not be a $10 million. There might not be a $10 million business that's something that private equity would scoop up, but you may find a business that's doing a 500,000 a year or $1 million a year in profit in a very specific niche. And you can go through some of the things like SBA funding, the small business program, to get reasonably priced loans. You can utilize strategies like seller's note to decrease the amount of money that you need to put on a down payment. There's a lot of strategies that you can purchase an immediately cash flowing business asset with very little money out of your pocket.
I agree. I totally agree. Speak to a lot of people about that. The baby boomers and acquiring businesses at this time. Is
Yeah.
that something that you consult on?
Is that something that we consult on? I
Yes.
haven't done as much business consulting recently, with the new acquisition and with the sort of explosive growth within the Defense Base Act. I've been spread a little thin, but that is certainly something when we first started Odin, as a business consultancy, that we would look at. That I'm in the process of finishing my first book that's based on sales strategy, but it also talks a lot about you know what myself and my team went through in building this business, and understanding what your path is, what a path to growth is, and the opportunities within the acquisition space were brought to my attention. I started to do some research on that, and it's absolutely astounding that you can find businesses that are generating mid six figures to low seven figures for very reasonable prices, and be able to expand our offerings, expand our staffing imprint, expand our capabilities without having to outlay a lot of capital to do so. It's been a game changer for us as far as growing the organization.
That's uh that's a good point. And looking at the sales aspect,
Mhm.
I guess if you could kind of, I want to go a little deeper into that. What's the name of your book?
The name of the book tentatively right now is Odin's Wolf.
Okay. All right. So it's still in the works.
We're 12 chapters through a planned 18. So we're
Okay. Okay. So with the sales strategies, you offer actual sales strategies in the book.
absolutely the system that we sort of devised for myself and my business development team. We've termed the Raven system, and it walks through sort of systematically what our approach to sales is, looking mostly at business to business sales that we don't do through Odin Industries a lot of direct to consumer products that our services are sold either directly to insurance companies, assistance companies, or security conglomerates. And it sort of walks through our methodology of well, what makes for a successful sales presentation, what makes for a successful contract negotiation, and what makes a successful delivery of product after you've made that sale.
Right. Okay. Okay. If I may ask, is when you have a sales goal in mind, you
Hmm.
have not only have you acquired businesses, but you have sold businesses as well.
Hmm.
Is your first thought when you start a business the exit?
Yes,
Okay.
that you know everything has a lifespan. If you're doing something that's worthwhile and successful, at some point it either consumes your life or it becomes a commodity that can be used to move on to the next thing. That I'm getting older now. I'm on the downside to 50. I don't want to be working forever. And Odin's, I think, doubled revenue every year that we've been in business. That we've had over 100% growth for 5 years in a row now. You know, there is an end goal. There's a number in mind of what will be enough for that to be a sale. And it's not to say that all of our planning it goes to get to that number. That I want Odin to succeed beyond me. I want there to be something tangible that's beyond my involvement in it. But there's always that thought of what the exit is and what that would look like.
Got it. Got it. Understood. So let me ask you, Ryan, what at this moment in time, you've sold a few companies, um, everything, about you tell me that, you're doing well. There's always, like you say, a number out
Mhm.
there. And I'm pretty sure you're going to reach that number. So what else at this moment in time, other than this mission, what motivates you to continue?
Uh, I enjoy what I do. That through all of the things that we do with this company, we get interesting days. No day is monotonous. No day is the same, and we get to help people. That this new acquisition has become sort of a passion project, and we're providing a desperately needed service for veterans. That the VA does provide services for the veterans, but there's often long wait times. It's often difficult to navigate. That we're gaining customers without much effort into our marketing strategies, just through word of mouth, through good outcomes. That's a win for me. That we're helping this veteran community with something that's difficult by nature to navigate and deeply impacts their lives in both a financial standpoint impact and an emotional impact. That these guys come home and have got issues, and trying to get the disability benefits that they deserve is a harder process than it really probably should be. And that we were able to get a reasonable price on a business with a high rate of growth, and we're able to develop strategic partnerships pretty quickly with various referral sources. And you know every day we get emails or texts that what we do has directly impacted somebody's life.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. That is a hell of a motivator. Um, with your company,
Mhm.
and I guess I'll segue into another question with this one. With your company, do you allow um, investors to come in?
um we're kicking around whether we want to do a money raise. We have one more acquisition planned before the end of the year, and then whether we want to look at some outside money to scale growth is discussions that I'm having internally with my finance team and with my COO right now. But as of yet, we have not taken any outside money.
Okay. All right. So, is this a situation that um, I haven't heard you mention the G word yet. So I'll ask, is this a situation that you could get government involved or maybe make a nonprofit situation?
Nonprofit, I don't see a viability for nonprofit. That we bid on government contracts often for various case management things in that nature. Um, you know, Military kind of takes care of their own, but the U.S. conglomerates that we work under with the Defense Base Act are generally all managed through in the U.S. and there's heavy government involvement. There's actually an entire judiciary circuit that's just based on sort of the DBA longshore and foreign voluntary cases. There's a group of judges, that's what they exist, is to adjudicate these type of cases. um, you know, Government involvement is often legislatively based on whether it's going to either positively or negatively impact the business. That the business we just acquired, if they make significant changes at the VA, that could directly impact our revenue and our ability to function. If there's significant either government intervention or judicial intervention into the Defense Base Act, we would have to modify and adapt our business model to adapt to those changes as well. Um, but certainly, there's the option within the medical legal reporting structure that we do to have government involvement or to seek out government contracts as another revenue stream for Odin.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. So it kind of works for you on both ends. It could, it potentially is the reason for the job, and it could also be the reason the job may not do as well. Um, so that's the price of doing business. You mentioned marketing earlier,
Hmm.
and a lot of it is word of mouth. Which with what you do would be, I know it would be the best outlet. Is there any other outlets that you take advantage of?
So we have a few different options. So with Odin Industries itself, as I mentioned earlier, one of our strategic partners is one of the largest security companies in the world. We're lucky in that aspect that we have a organization that's, I don't know, 20 or $25 billion market cap value, that has a huge marketing team that is marketing the services that we provide. For our internal focus, I would say the vast majority of our focus is probably Google Ads. We're not really a product based business, so Instagram's a iffy fit. TikTok's kind of a iffy fit. So most of our internal resources are focused towards Google Ads. And then our marketing team also uses a lot of free things. So we have a Facebook group that we own with about 1,000 veterans in it that the marketing team is continually creating content for. podcast appearances like this, and then we send 20ish probably national press releases every year when there's something big to announce. So we work with the Sizon network of PR newswires to feed that out. We've been featured in Yahoo Finance. We've been featured in Forbes. We've been featured in a number of high value publications with these press releases and the strategic partnership we have there.
Got it. So where do if someone want to get in touch with you or your business, what's the best way for them to do that?
If they're looking to get in touch with Odin Industries specifically, it's operations at odinindustries.llc.com. If they're a veteran or if they're looking to connect with us regarding our veteran services, it would be support at shieldofodin.com.
Okay, so Ron, I'd like to ask my final question. What do you see for yourself, for your business in the future? Whether it's a small goal or a big hairy audacious goal.
I'm not sure that, small goals are worth chasing. That if your dreams and aspirations don't scare you a little, you're not dreaming big enough. Um, we want to continue to grow the business. We want to continue along this lines of grow through acquisition to expand our service offerings. And the end goal for me personally is to create an organization within the case management sphere that's considered one of the top firms in the country. And if you're asking for a financial goal, I would like a 8-figure exit.
I like that goal. I like that goal, and I like what you just said. If you're not dreaming, if you're not thinking big enough where it scares you, then hey, what's the use?
Exactly. That there's plenty of money in the world. That there's this sort of fallacy that money's a scarcity. That it's a matter of harnessing your talents, of harnessing your ambition, and having the follow through to not quit when things get hard. That I think every entrepreneur that's ever made it is the type that'll work 16 hours a day so they don't have to work for someone 8 hours a day. That your business has become like one of your kids. It's something that you need to nurture. It's something that you need to grow, and it's something that you sometimes need to look to modify or change behavior, same as with your children. That you look at what happened in the pandemic. A lot of businesses couldn't pivot to different business models. There just wasn't an option for them. And a lot of them weren't able to navigate that. Those that were able to understand the changes in the economic headwinds and were able to adapt to that, some of them came out of COVID better than they went into it. That the world's always going to throw you curveballs. Life's certainly thrown me my fair number of curveballs, but I'm not sure whether it's the Canadian Irish blood or what it is, but I'm stubborn as hell, and I will always bet on myself. That you know I surround myself with I would say people that are smarter than me, and work as a team to understand people's opinions and different viewpoints. That you know a team doesn't work if one person is the only decision maker that it matters. I genuinely value my team's opinions and their input, and we've done pretty well so far. So,
Nice, nice. That's uh that's a gem, Ryan. That's something that any business person, that's some advice any business person or um entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur can use. Um, Again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I'd like to have you again after the book comes out so we can delve into that.
Absolutely. I would love to come back. You know,
Definitely.
that,
Most definitely.
that would be great. I'm hoping to have a second one, you know, probably within the year after that, I'm currently in the process of writing, and it's more of a memoir that some of those struggles that we talked about and some of those times when it seemed like the world was upside down,
Right.
it it makes for good storytelling, and it also got us, where we are today. That without that adversity, I'm not sure I'd have the same perspective on life that I do now. That I'm truly grateful for what we have built. I'm truly grateful for the people that have believed in me and believed in the organizations that I built, and I think that some of that adversity that I faced helped build that gratitude.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Mhm.
Anybody that's out there listening, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I know that if you are an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, like most of the listeners here are, that you did enjoy the episode. Um, I want to say to Ryan and Ryan's team, it's entrepreneurs like you guys that can kind of, put the word out there, come on these podcasts, and show people that it's possible. It's possible to get started. It's possible to make an exit. It's possible to build a business, sell a business, and then do it again. It's possible to acquire other businesses. So, I mean, just keep going, keep doing what it is that you're doing, and it'll all pay off. Ryan, I want to thank you again for coming on the Millionaire by Morning Show.
I truly appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The crowd, I'm going to say bye now. Make moves, make money, and make meaningful memories.